Hey, what's up? This is Bryce VanHoosen from Silver Talon, and you are watching Gym Rock Crew.
I'm Ramona, and my channel is the YouTube channel, Gym Rock Crew, and it basically helps rock and metal artists live longer, healthier lives. So I basically just interview rock and metal artists on their fitness routine so then they can inspire other artists.
Hell yeah.
Yep.
Sweet. Love
And
it.
you're very, very shredded and you play really well. And I was like, okay, we've got to get him on here just to
Thank you.
find out what you're doing.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, well, I'm stoked to be here. You ready for the questions?
Yeah, let's go. Let's do it.
Let's go. All right. So, do you listen to anything when you're working out?
Sometimes, yeah. A lot of times, honestly, I feel like I'm usually watching like shows, like some Netflix or something like that. Like I try to kind of cram as much stuff in my day at once. So, if my wife and I want to see, like last night we were watching like the latest episode of like Severance or whatever. So, I'm just there in the middle of the room doing like some, shoulder presses and stuff like that. So, try to maximize like the time that I would usually be sitting on my butt with some extra weightlifting kind of stuff, so that it's not total time wasted, right?
Not bad. Multitasking. So, do you listen to any music at all when
Oh yeah,
you're working out? Yeah, too.
Yeah, sometimes when I'm working out, if I'm like, away from home or whatever, I'll listen to, music, of course.
Cool. So, what would
But
you say are like your current top 3 bands
oh man,
on your workout playlist?
yeah, I gotta look actually. It's always changing. I'm always trying to find like new stuff, like bands that I've never heard. So, as you can imagine, the more years you spend listening to rock and metal, it can be more of a challenge to try to find new music, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so right now I'm super into Phil Anselmo's black metal band that he has called Scour. They just released a new album like I don't know, a week or so ago, and it's cool. It's awesome. That is great. Great workout music, great driving music, great playing music. As I found out, it's
He has another project I was listening to at the gym a while ago. I can't remember the name now, but it was very cool. It wasn't the same. I think he
yeah.
has another project.
He's got a lot of stuff. He does
Yeah.
a lot of things outside of the down Pantera kind of
Yeah.
thing. So yeah, cool for him, man. Let's see. Another band that I just heard of that I've never heard before is this band called Power Mad. They're like kind of from the late 80s, early 90s, and they sort of have that, that very typical kind of like late 80s, early 90s sort of like shred power metal kind of thing. I had never heard of these guys until my wife was reading about David Lynch, and apparently they were in some David Lynch movie or something. So she started listening to them, and then now I've started listening to them also. So they're pretty good. Check them out.
Yeah, I will. Power Mad, you said?
Yeah, Power Mad.
Okay.
And then Life of Agony has been a good one in the rotation recently. And that's also kind of a newer band that I hadn't listened to very much. And then their first album, it's kind of like more like a hardcore Typo Negative. So it's pretty good for working out, and yeah, keeps you in the right mindset of embracing the pain, so to speak.
True. Right. Do you have like a favorite exercise that you love?
Oh man, favorite exercise. Honestly, probably my favorite stuff to do is like running or hiking or like anything that involves like moving my body through space or whatever. The weightlifting stuff, I feel like is always kind of like I gotta sort of force myself to do it. You know what I mean? It's never like I never feel like super stoked to pick up the weights, you know what I
Yeah.
mean, for whatever reason. But if it's like a run or whatever, I'm always just like, yes, let's do it. Or like a hike or something, you know, like going out into nature, into the wilderness. Um, that is always stuff that I'm like, hell yeah, this is
Yeah.
rad. This is awesome. So yeah, definitely hiking slash running. If you'll take that as an answer for favorite
Yeah.
exercise.
Well, there is such a thing called runner's high. So,
Yeah,
I totally get it. It's a lot of happy hormones and endorphins after like a good run or a good hike. So, yeah.
totally.
And
Yeah,
nature, I mean, nature, come on.
yeah. It's like it's so inspiring to be out there and to see like, whoa, man, there's this world. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's
So
always impressive.
you've kind of gone all over the place. Like, what would you say has been your favorite place to hike?
Oh man, I mean, probably like right here in the Pacific Northwest. So, I live in Portland, Oregon, but Seattle is a few hours north. So I really like it up there. There's a lot of really good stuff, like Olympic National Park. That's amazing. Mount Rainier, so many good hikes there. Um, anything that's kind of just around like Puget Sound or even going to like Snoqualmie, going like a little bit like east over there, like kind of in the mountains and the Cascades. Um, yeah, it's all beautiful. So yeah, my favorite place is kind of right here at home, to be completely honest.
Nice. Cool. So I was going to ask you if there was anything that you disliked, like any exercise or activity, but you've answered that. You don't dislike weightlifting. Or is there something that you don't dislike, like a specific exercise there?
I mean, I don't know what don't I like. I mean, they all kind of like suck equally. You know what I mean? Like, and I think that's kind of the point, right? Is it's kind of supposed to be kind of sucky. But like,
Yeah.
I mean, if it's something, the stuff that I absolutely don't like is the stuff that I think like causes pain or whatever, or causes injury or can lead to injury. Which I try not to do because there's plenty of other like exercises, right? So, if I used to love doing like chest flies or whatever, until I hurt my shoulder because I went down too far, and so now I don't like doing those anymore.
Oh,
So, but
yeah.
there's other ways to work those muscles. So,
Yeah, I was actually going to come to your shoulders later, but since we're on it, let's go there. Like your shoulders are freaking insane. To take away
oh,
from
thank you.
your incredible playing, but your freaking shoulders, like they just pop. Like, is that something that you've had to train very hard for, or is you have some kind of genetic edge there?
I think it's all genetics there. Yeah, I really don't. I don't know. My shoulders have been like they're fine. So honestly, like don't focus on them like a whole lot. I'll kind of just do like I said, like the overhead shoulder presses and stuff like that, and try to do some of that stuff. Honestly, like you can't really see, but like the rear delt is kind of an area that I've sort of tried to focus on a little bit more. And that one can be kind of hard to target when you're specifically trying to get to it, because I don't know, I don't feel like we use that one very often during the day for like normal stuff, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
um yeah, if there's one area of my shoulder that I've tried to target, it's been that one, the rear delts. But like
Yeah.
the front and then the top and stuff, like it's kind of always I'm lucky that way, I guess.
Yeah, man, I'm envious. Also, the rear delts, like those muscles are really important, like for posture and stuff. So, like face pulls and then those, the rear delt flies, those have really helped me at least. I don't know,
Yeah,
those two
doing
specifically.
doing face
Those
pulls.
face pulls and even the rear delt, like all kinds of like the machines, dumbbells, all of that.
Okay. I like
Yeah,
face
those really
pulls.
help.
I don't do them as much as I feel like I should, so I should start incorporating that one more.
Yeah, and they're really good, like for shoulder health in
Yeah,
general.
right.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so when you're not touring, when you're at home, what does your fitness routine look like?
Yeah, so I usually do I try to do like at least like 4 to 5 days on and then resting the rest of the time. And honestly, like I don't go too crazy, right? I try to do like, 30 minutes of like real kind of targeted weightlifting a day, or at least every session. And then I'll try to do, 10 minutes of like pretty intense calisthenics and then another like 20 to 30 minutes of like running or some kind of cardio or something like that. But like, an hour, that's it. I'm good. I kind of really believe in sort of like, you know, the law of like diminishing returns. And I don't know. You see people like sometimes at the gym who are just like sitting on their phone, right? They'll be at the gym for like 2 hours and it's like,
Yeah.
come on, brother, you were scrolling Instagram or whatever for, a good hour and a half of that just sitting on the bench. So I try to do like as fast as possible, just get in, get out, and go on to the rest of my day.
Yeah. And so you're like very consistent. You 4 or 5 times a week that's very good. Like you keep that. You're always showing up on those. Like you don't have weeks where you just go, I don't want to do anything. You just go there and do something. Is it?
Yeah, I mean, there are the weeks where I'm like, yeah, I don't want to do anything, but it's sort of forcing yourself to do it. Which is why I try to keep stuff to kind of I feel like a manageable level. Like an hour a day, I feel like I can swing that. If I were to try to, put more in, like, oh, I'm gonna do like 2 hours today, then it would start falling off. You know what I mean? So for me, I feel like the consistency is really kind of where you get the most benefit, right? Um, so everybody wants kind of everything like now, but I don't know. It's the little baby steps that start to add up and kind of make things achievable and start to create kind of the healthy habits in life. I feel like so.
Yeah, that's so true. So when I was talking to Satchel, like from Steel Panther, like that guy is jacked, okay? And I was like, you
Oh
look like
yeah,
someone who's, very disciplined, very structured. And he goes, no, I just do this because, I just don't want to be fat. And I was like,
yeah,
what stuck out to me was that he just goes there and he shows up because he wants to feel good. But it was
yeah.
basically like the consistency, like him just showing up all the time. That was that's why he looks like that. So that's key. And like you said, a lot of people are like, what's the secret sauce? Just fucking show
Yeah,
up,
yeah, yeah,
just
yeah.
get
I
it
mean,
done.
it's
So
and it's the same with like playing a musical instrument. Like playing guitar. It's not like
everything.
I never, you always hear the stories of like Ingve or Steve Vai or whatever, and they're like, oh, I played like 8, 10, 12. I mean, it's almost like an Olympic sort of sport, right? With like some of these guys who are practicing like, 16 hours a day, and then I slept 4, and then I was like, just min maxing guitar, and like I've never done that. I've done, really if I'm like really focusing, it's like 3 hours, tops. Or if you're in the studio like recording or whatever, you'll be there all day. But like, you know, I mean, even if I can get in like an hour a day or something with guitar playing, just that consistency means so much more than, say if I were to do like 10 hours for today and, then I didn't practice again for like another 10 days or whatever, because 10 hours of doing anything sounds like a shitty time. Right. So
Yeah,
the consistency, go small, I
absolutely.
think, and just keep it going. Something's better than nothing is my thought process.
Absolutely, and it works. So, let's see. So I was going through your profile, and you actually, I'm sure this was a funny reel, but you said something about the flying V, and that's how you get rock hard abs. Like, when I was going through your profile yesterday, I saw this picture of you with your abs, and I was like, that's not real. Like, it doesn't look real. And I showed you to my partner, and he's a guitarist, and he was like, holy shit, like, this guy's so shredded. Like, so you do something, or is that just low body fat?
Yeah, I mean, I also think that that's another area where it's like just a genetic kind of advantage, because like I don't know, I've my my sort of like fitness goals are kind of like the exact opposite of everybody else, right? Where everyone's always trying to like lose weight and like try to get more lean, whereas me, like I just came out of the gate that way, right? Like when I was younger, I was just like super shrimpy. I
Yeah.
could always like eat anything and never have any sort of body fat or anything like that. And I think that, the abs are kind of like, I mean, that's that's what that is, right? It's like, I don't know. I've heard a lot of people say like, oh, training your abs is like pointless because abs are made in the kitchen, blah, 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 which I guess there's, probably some truth to that. Um, so yeah, that is, I mean, I'll do like 10 minutes of like core exercises a day. And like, that's pretty much about it. There's not like, I'm not doing like leg lifts for an hour or something. You know what I mean? But I mean, onto like the guitar shape and the flying V and stuff like that. It really does when you're sitting down. It does make you kind of have to focus on your posture a little bit because it's such like it's not a very ergonomic shape, right? The flying V versus say like a Stratocaster or something like that, where like a Stratocaster was like designed to be held and to be played like sitting down, and it feels like really comfortable, right? Like I can just like I can lay in bed and like play a Stratocaster and like whatever, it's all good. Flying V, not so much. You have to like it's like straight back, you're kind of like propping your knee up, and then your guitar's over here, and it's all just very like almost like a classical posture kind of thing. So you know but I was being funny, but there is some truth to it. So, there's
Okay.
a lot of people who have like, I don't know, they don't ever work their core or have any kind of like, strength there or whatever. And then they're like, oh man, I can't, hunch over like this and play my, flying V. It doesn't feel comfortable. So, there is some truth to that, you gotta be straight, upright, good posture, that sort of thing.
Good to know. It's good to know. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
So you play like super fast, right? You're a very technical player. Does lifting affect your playing or your practice anyway? Do you have like any kind of wrist pain, forearm like pain or soreness or anything like that?
Honestly, I did before I started lifting weights. I think that just the act of like holding the weight has kind of helped with like grip strength and stuff like that. I spend a lot of time on the computer, like typing and stuff like that, doing emails, all that kind of bullshit. And like you seriously get like some carpal tunnel from that kind of stuff. And I used to work at a lumber yard when I was like younger, and we were always like carrying things with our hands and stuff like that, and really started to get kind of some pain, in this area, some like kind of like an electrical sort of feeling running through your hands at all times. Um, and that would even like sort of get so bad that I would wake up in the middle of the night with like my hands just like completely numb, right? It's like pins and needles in my wrists and forearms and stuff. But ever since I started, doing weight training, that has kind of gone away. So I'm trying to, sort of ride that line where it's like I'll have an appropriate amount of grip strength to kind of help me, but not so bad where I'm like, undoing, I guess, the fast twitch muscles in my hands and like, replacing it with like, I don't know. I don't even know what happens at some point. People start getting like the sausage finger kind of thing, Sure, their
Yeah.
hands are really strong, but they're not, very quick. So,
Yeah.
but
I think well, arthritis is a big concern for like guitarists, I think in general. Sato
sure,
was
yeah.
talking about it, and I think was Steve Vai also struggling with arthritis.
Yeah. I mean, maybe, I don't know. We'll see. We'll give it a decade and see what happens, Right now, it's just the carpal tunnel. If I can keep that at bay, that's great.
Yeah.
We'll give it. I'll get well through my 40s and see what the arthritis situation is like. Because yeah, that I am afraid of. I am afraid of that. I haven't had to deal
Yeah,
with
it's a
that yet, but
nightmare. Yeah.
it sounds shitty, man. I can't imagine like your the thing that you spent so much time and like your outlet, right, just sort of being taken away because of chronic pain. So I don't
Yeah.
know. I'm also hoping that like by doing consistent exercise and stuff like that, that hopefully, maybe I can sort of keep that kind of stuff at bay. I don't,
For
uh,
sure.
I don't exactly know how that works, but I feel like there's something, maybe something there. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, there's that theory of like AI being so advanced that it can mimic you're playing, and then you can just get a prosthetic that you can actually play the same way. I don't know.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. That takes kind of the I don't know. That takes the human element out of it though, right? Like
Yeah,
I mean, how many I mean like how much, heavy metal, right, was kind of created because Tony Iommi like cut his fucking fingers off, right? So he's like, now I got to tune the guitar down super low, I got to play slow. So it's almost like sometimes those physical limitations and things like that will contribute to the art form in a way that, if you're just trying to mimic something or keep something going, it doesn't necessarily, have the same kind of impact.
I
And even
love
like,
that perspective. That is a really cool perspective.
yeah, I mean, and I mean, and it happens time and time again. Like, look at like Django Reinhardt, whose hand was like, he was like the dude from Scary Movie with like the, take my strong hands, that guy. But like, dude shredded, and he came up with a whole new kind of playing guitar that nobody had done before, and it was all because he had like three fingers, but my man could work those three
Love
fingers.
that. Let's freaking go then. Cool. So, do you do anything then to help you recover from your lifting, or like say you're going on tour and then you know we haven't got into the workouts there, whatever. But do you do anything to recover, like for the next session, so you're not like so you're fresh and then you're able to keep performing at a high level?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think sleep is kind of the most important thing, at least for me there. Um, because without good sleep, man, it really sucks. Um, and that honestly was like kind of a big sort of like aha moment for me is I had I was diagnosed like 2021 or whatever with like sleep apnea. So apparently I had like not been getting very good sleep for my entire life. Um, and so once I started taking care of that, man, my everything just got a lot better. My energy, my recovery, all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, if anyone's listening to this and people are telling you that you snore like an annoying son of a bitch and you sound like you're dying while you're sleeping, get it checked out, man.
Yeah, because it is so underrated. Like, and it even affects so many other things like fat loss and then muscle building and like that whole world as well. So yeah, totally.
Yeah, and I think also in your brain as well, right? So if you're learning a bunch of music or you're trying to play something that's a little bit outside of your comfort zone, right? You can't quite play it. It's really weird because sometimes you just stop. You take a nap or something like that. You can come back and like it's all just like synthesized up there, and you can do it all of a sudden. So sleep is one of those like really miraculous, wonderful things. It feels like you're just wasting a lot of time. So I kind of tend to not want to do it, right?
Yeah,
But it's so important.
absolutely. So when you're touring, how do you stay in shape? Because like most of the artists complain about shitty food, shitty sleep, nothing, no place to work out, and stuff like that. So how do you stay in shape?
Oh man, that's a good question. So I think I honestly, my biggest issue on tour is I will like burn so many calories that I'll actually lose weight, right? So even with the shitty food, I feel like I need to. I mean, this last tour that I went on, I was just like I was really good with my diet kind of up until that point, and then I was just like, you know what, fuck it, I'm just gonna eat, like I don't care, I'm gonna try to hit as much protein as I possibly can, and then I'm not gonna worry about where I'm at like calorically or whatever. So I'm just gonna eat. If I'm hungry, I'm gonna eat gas station food, whatever. Just do it. Um, and I came back, and I could tell that my body fat percentage like kind of dipped a little bit. There was more like definition and stuff. So I'm like, I don't know how that happened. It's freaky. I think I think the reason is because, my band, we're so small that, we don't have roadies. So when I'm on tour, right, we're loading everything in and out and on stage and off stage all by hand. So it's like a lot of cabinets, a lot of, in-ear racks, all of that kind of stuff, we're lifting it all. So you get a pretty good workout from that. And, looking at like my step counter and all of that kind of shit, it's like easily like, you'll hit like 10,000 steps, like no problem, 15,000, 20,000, over 20,000, like, yeah, always. So, yeah, so that carrying gear, which you have to make sure that you're kind of in shape so you don't like hurt yourself. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Because that's an easy thing to
Proper
do
form.
also. Um, that helps. And then, just taking stuff like, I'll take just kind of like a travel kind of case of like weights. So like nothing super heavy, like 40 pounds maybe, and just do like dumbbell exercises when I can find the time. Or the singer in my band will take like resistance bands, and like that motherfucker will literally just be like sitting in the van, just like, doing arm curls and shit like that. I'm like, all right, brother, get it.
Awesome, cool.
So,
So you
yeah.
you said something about steps. Is that something that you keep track of when you're not touring?
I try to. I think I have like the iPhone like fitness app thing or whatever. So it's a nice, cool thing whenever you close the ring and it gives you that nice little like animation or whatever. And so it's like, oh yeah, I did something. I'm not like a complete piece of shit today. Um so I'll try to do, I mean, like I said, I try to do, running at least like 20 minutes, which is usually about like 2 miles is what I can kind of get in doing like a mix of like jogging and walking and stuff like that. So I try to do that every day, and then, um, try to get around 10,000 steps. I don't know why. It's just a nice even number, I guess, that feels good because, why not
Yeah,
10,000?
yeah, yeah. I have the same 10,000 step goal. So yeah, it's a
Yeah,
nice
it's
number.
a good round number. I don't know what it means. It's totally arbitrary, but
Yeah, cool. You said something about like just trying to get enough protein, but not really concerned about your calories and stuff. Do you track that like more closely when you're not touring?
yes. So it kind of all depends. Right now, I've really been trying to kind of up the calories, which for me, honestly, is like it's way harder than cutting. I was doing when I first started kind of making my health more of a priority and started like lifting and jogging and all of that kind of stuff. I was doing I guess I feel like a total beginner at some of this stuff because I don't really know like the lingo or whatever. But I've heard it's called a body recomp, right? Where you try to like cut calories, increase the protein intake, so you can kind of like try to burn fat and like build muscle at the same time.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so I was doing that, not that I wasn't fat, right? I was like pretty shrimpy, but I was like just trying to get the, more definition, right? Um, and so for that, I did that for a while, and I was tracking and trying to stick to like 2,100 calories, um, which I felt like that was so easy to do. I wasn't hungry or anything like that. It was just like whatever. This is what it is. It felt good. But now I've tried to increase that to like 3,000 or so, and it's so much harder for me. I don't I don't like to eat.
Yeah, no,
It's boring. I don't know.
yeah, I can actually relate to this because I mean, there are people who will just like go through 3,000 calories like it's nothing. But like for me as well, I'm a hard gainer and I'm a small eater, and I struggle when it comes to these bulking phases. So like the things that help me are usually like I can eat high calorie foods when you're trying to hit the 3,000 that I wouldn't normally eat if I'm cutting. So, and
Right.
also like instead of like whole wheat, and I know those are healthy, or like brown rice and stuff, I will go for the whites because they just kind of digest quickly, and then there's space
Yep.
now to eat more. So those help me. But yeah, I totally relate.
Yeah, that is what I have been doing, and I've been finding has kind of been the best way. And like it feels totally counterintuitive to be like,
Yeah.
I'm going to eat a half of this pizza, and everyone's just going to be like, bro, you sure? I'm like, no, trust me. Like I'm a genetic freak here. Okay, it'll be all right.
Yeah, it's honestly, I find it much harder to build muscle than to just drop weight,
Yes,
right?
yeah, way harder, so much harder.
Yeah.
The cutting weight is just like I don't know, man. Like I said with that tour, I was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna eat whatever. And then I came back and I was like, man, I lost weight. I lost weight.
What the hell?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. So, I read, sorry, somewhere on your profile that you said you were vegan. I'm not sure if you're still vegan.
I am just vegetarian. I was
Okay.
vegan maybe like in high school, like 20 years ago or something like that. But in the early 2000s, it was really hard to even be vegetarian, let alone vegan. So I had no idea what I was doing. So I was eating like tomato sandwiches and shit like all day, like, which is sounds, honestly, that sounds kind of refreshing right now, but
Yeah.
it's not like they didn't have all of the protein substitutes and things like that we have these days. So, I went back to eating meat and I did that for probably about, a decade or so. And then for the past like 10, 11 years, I've been just doing just straight vegetarian, which is pretty old school, honestly. Like, I don't feel like a lot of people do that. It's either like, you're vegan or you're fucking carnivore diet or some shit
Carnivore,
like
yeah, that's
that.
the big one now.
Yeah, there's like no in between for, at least it's not cool to talk about it on the internet, right? Nobody's going to give you points if you're not pushing some buttons with your diet or whatever. But yeah, just straight up vegetarian. So no meat, but I'll do like milk, cheese, love cheese, eggs a little bit. Not now because they're like fucking $40 for a dozen of them.
I
So
heard, yeah.
I'll find something
Yeah.
else. But yeah, just vegetarian. So
Okay. Do you like fast or anything like that when you wake up, or not
I
really?
mean, yes, but it's like inadvertently, just because I'm like, I'm like, oh, I'll just drink a cup of coffee and then like, oh, okay. Now it's like 1 o'clock and I'm like, shit, I haven't eaten anything. So let's go do that. Like, I don't know. I
Yeah.
feel like my relationship with food is like kind of weird in the opposite way that most people have it, right? Where people will like overeat. I'm like the total opposite. So when I was like in my my alcohol sort of like drug using days, it was all kind of like I didn't eat, would eat like whatever, like a chicken taquito from like 7-Eleven or something, and then it was all booze. So food, yeah, I'm still kind of like that same way with food, where it's like, I'll get it when I get it.
Yeah, true, true. Let's talk about alcohol then, because that was one of the later questions, but since you brought that up, do
Sure.
you have like any rules right now? What's going on with the scene now?
Yeah, I don't drink. I don't do drugs or anything like that. I've been sober for about a decade now, actually, since last October. So yeah, I had a problem. It was bad. So yeah, the first band that I was in was a band called Spellcaster, and we were pretty much like out of high school, kind of doing the rock and roll thing, right? And we were like reading, like Motley Crue's The Dirt, and we're like, oh, this is like the how-to guide. This is just what you do when you're in a band. So it's like, you know, fucking liquid diet of nothing but beer, wine, liquor, whatever, and then that would obviously, lead to other stuff. So, start off with a few drinks, and then you're railing lines of meth with some homeless people under a bridge at 5 o'clock in the morning. So, yeah,
The
that
life.
was that was our life.
Cool. So what made you quit then? What was that turning point?
I mean, my wife was a big one, right? So we had kind of just started dating, and she was kind of a party girl. We met at a friend's birthday party at a strip club, right? So we were always going out, partying, knocking it back, that kind of thing. But there was always just this sort of like nagging feeling in me that I was like, I'm not happy, you know? I'm not happy doing this. And it sort of felt like, it got to the point where it really sort of felt like a crutch, you know what I mean? Where it was like, I'm just sort of dealing with anxiety and like whatever. So that's why I'm doing this. And it's not making those emotions sort of go away. It's not making anything better, right? In fact, it's just making the anxiety and the depression and all of that kind of stuff way worse. Um, so she was kind of in the same boat, and I remember we had just started dating, and then 2014, I go off on tour, and I'm doing like the same kind of stuff that I was always doing. Getting drunk, uh, snorting a bunch of weird shit, um, all of this kind of stuff, and she was really not happy, so that made us sort of fight, and then finally, I think all of this stuff had kind of been like piling on top of each other, where it's like I'm pissed at myself, she's pissed at me, we're both pissed at each other. We don't really want this kind of like fucked up, drugged out lifestyle. And then finally, I saw a video of me playing where I was completely obliterated. Right, like I don't remember the show. The only reason I can tell you that it actually happened is because there's like photo evidence, you know what I mean? And then to make matters worse, right, there was like a video that a friend posted. And so I'm watching the video and I'm like, I'm all hungover and I'm like, fuck, man, I don't remember playing the show at all. I was gone. And I'm watching the video and I'm like, yep, there it is. There it
Yeah.
is. So it was like, I always knew that I want to be a musician, right? This is the thing that is been kind of the driving force in my life for damn near over almost like 25 years at this point, right? And I'm just fucking this up. I'm like, I'm everything that I've ever worked for. I am like trying to I'm flushing down the toilet because I just want to get drunk and high and all of that kind of stuff. So I was like, guys, I think I'm done. So I stopped, and it was tough. The first few years, honestly, was like really it was rough because everybody else was sort of in that same kind of like party mode.
Yeah.
We're on tour, everybody's partying, getting fucked up, getting drunk, and here I am just like sober, and I'm like, I'm gonna go to bed, guys. So
So what are the differences you kind of did you see any changes with like your playing and with your lifestyle and stuff like that with your how should I say your progression in your career?
yeah, I mean, everything got kind of a lot more serious after that. It was like, I'm a lot more reliable. I'm able to sort of contribute to the overall kind of band dynamic, which is like, wow, I'm not spending my entire weekend just like curled up in bed or like vomiting or whatever. And then, going out and getting drunk and all of that kind of stuff. So it's like the 48 hours that I was spending, partying slash hungover slash sleeping slash fucked up out of my mind. Like, oh, I can play guitar now and I can write music, all this kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
that
Nice.
obviously was like a big, a big change. So, suddenly I had more time for all of this stuff that I actually wanted to do. So that was the biggest thing. And then, yeah, I don't know. I think after that, the biggest kind of difference was just like dealing, having to actually deal with like the mental health aspect of it. You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't know. We're probably all like a little bit like damaged, broken people coming into like rock and metal in some way, right? I don't know if you're necessarily like a normal person or whatever, and you get into this kind of stuff, but dealing with that, and sort of like the lifetime of like demons or whatever. At that point, it was like I couldn't cover it up with alcohol anymore, so now I gotta face it head on, So it's like going into a situation where you're like playing live and you would use alcohol to kind of cut down on the anxiety or whatever of having to do that. Like suddenly I can't do that anymore. It's just, I'm feeling everything like on 11 pretty much. So, being able, I guess, to like naturally kind of deal with that was also a huge thing. So there were a lot of hard lessons during that point.
Love that. I actually like had two that I can remember top of my head. One was Travis Miguel from Atreyu, and the other one, I think Chris Daughtry, who said they had to relearn how to live and how to be social, and like it wasn't an easy like, okay, I quit and now my world's just so much better. It was like a whole freaking process. So
Oh yeah, yeah,
yeah.
and I think that especially in music and entertainment and all that kind of stuff. That's probably why a lot of people just sort of like go back to kind of the old ways because you'll you'll just be playing and people will be coming up and talking to you after the show and you have to like interface with people obviously and there's really a lot of just sort of feeling like okay, what the fuck am I doing? Like this is weird. Like being a human is bizarre, It's like I got all these like weird thoughts running through my head right now and I have to try to parse through that on my own without trying to like quiet everything down with like, booze or whatever. So, yeah, it's tough. It's tough. It's a lot of stuff that you wouldn't necessarily think about having to kind of sort of like fight with, right? Just having like a conversation, all of that stuff. You gotta figure it out again.
Yeah. Well, kudos to you. Well done.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
That's awesome. So do you have any kind of like, do you face any peer pressure when you're coming, this is the life, right? You're constantly surrounded by alcohol and,
Hmm.
maybe drugs. I don't know. Do people insist that you have alcohol? How do you deal with that?
I mean, honestly, not anymore. I think when I first quit, right, there was kind of a lot of people who were sort of like, they sort of saw me as like their drink buddy, right? And they're like, "Oh, come on, dude! Like, really? Like, you're gonna be lame like that? Like, just have one, and you can call it a night. You can go to bed, whatever." Whereas like me, I'm like, there's no just one, right? I'm gonna drink one. I'm gonna drink 12. I'm gonna drink a whole 30 rack, and then that's either it's either none or all, right? Full speed or no speed.
Yeah.
So at the beginning, yeah, there was a lot of that kind of like nah, dude, I'm not gonna fucking do this. Like, you want to drink, go do it on your own, go do whatever. But me, I'm doing my thing. But then, as time has gone on, right? I feel like, especially these days, there's way more people who are sober or who don't party that are doing this kind of thing. And it's been, I've kind of always been sort of had that thought in my brain that like, oh, somebody's gonna, give me shit or whatever because I don't drink or, I don't want to party or whatever. But that hasn't happened, honestly. I feel like most people are just kind of like, okay, got it. Totally cool.
Yeah. There's like an insane number of musicians I've interviewed, and not just like the older ones, even the younger ones who are not drinking, not smoking. They're like, we want to be a professional band. We want to put on a good show. So bands are paying us money.
Yeah.
We have to be professional. So yeah,
Yeah,
interesting.
exactly. Especially, now that everybody has like a cell phone in their pocket. And if you're, blacked out, rolling around on stage or like, puking your guts out up there or whatever, people are going to be like, oh my God, like what's going on here? So it's much better to be like on your game and to be able to perform and execute
Yeah.
at a high level. And, with alcohol, though you might not believe it, while you're drunk, it's definitely the case that you will not be as on top of your game as you would be sober.
Absolutely.
Sorry,
So
I
do
got a
you?
cat here that's begging for some attention. So, oh, where are
Hello.
you? Oh God! Oh God!
Oh my
All right,
God! Look at
okay.
that.
She's up here. She's here
So
now. This is
cute.
how we live.
So cute.
Oh
It's
God!
adorable. Really looks exactly like mine. And well, he was called Ivan because he was Russian, but
Oh,
then
nice, nice. I like it.
but we called him like 10 different names, like Maflu and I don't
Oh,
know, like some other weird names. Like every week he had a new name.
yeah. She has a lot of nicknames too. Like her name is Grimsa, but then we'll call her like Grisma or Griswold or uh, Christmas,
So cute.
so
Oh,
derivative, but yeah, lots of nicknames.
totally cute. Mine ran away. He got his treats. I had to like freaking bribe him to stay here, and then he ran away after he got
No,
his treats.
he ran away. Wait.
As in, no, no, he's gone out of the room.
Oh, gotcha, gotcha,
That's
gotcha.
what.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, oh no, he
No, no,
full on ran away. That's no good.
no, no, no. He's staying. There's food here,
Good. Yes. Yeah. The world out there is cold, and there's no treats. So
right? Right. Siberian, and they won't survive the cold,
yeah, I know, right? Yeah.
right?
This one, if she
So
had to hunt for herself, would not. I don't think it would fare too well. Make it too easy for her.
he's so cute. How old?
She just turned 8, so she'll be 9 in
Wow.
October. So
Hello.
she's a
Oh, it's so
damn
gorgeous. Look at
near.
those eyes.
Yeah. Hi.
Hello. Oh my God, she's a beauty. Look at those paws. So cute. She's gorgeous.
Thank you. All
Gorgeous
right.
cat.
Let's see if she sits here. Okay. Good. Comfy. Yeah. All right.
Wow, she stays. Wow.
Sorry.
So, so I've got the last few questions. I won't take too much of your time.
Cool.
Do you have like a pre-show routine?
I mean, the most important is just to make sure that everything is plugged in and turns on and makes noise, right? That's kind of the routine. Um, I mean, I like to, maybe do kind of like some sort of like breathing exercises and stuff like that. Just a little bit of like, breath meditation. That's sort of the ideal, but sometimes kind of given the slots that we have when we're playing, a lot of times it's just sort of like throw and go. So, you're just up on stage, do the line check, and then there you go. So, but if I am left to my own devices and we can kind of set up early, yeah, definitely doing like some stretching and sort of some breath stuff, and making sure that I am well hydrated before I get on stage, because sometimes in the middle of the set I can be so focused on other stuff that I don't think about drinking water.
Yeah, happens. So is that your go-to drink on stage?
Water?
Water?
Yeah,
Yeah.
either like water or even some coffee, if you would believe that, which is kind of the opposite end of the spectrum, where it's sort of like dehydrating a little bit. But yeah, get the caffeine, get the water. Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. What is like your favorite cheat meal? Is it pizza?
Favorite cheat meal?
Or like
Yeah,
a dessert or something that you just freaking can't get enough of?
I don't know. I don't know that I have that. Yeah, I mean, I guess probably pizza. Like, I mean, if when I'm in like a cutting phase, right, I'll sort of plan the cheat meals out so that they're not really like cheat meals, right? I'll be like,
Yeah.
you know, I gotta be good in the morning because I'm gonna kill like a half a pizza or something like that at night, right? So I'm gonna save like 1,500 calories or whatever. So like I'll fast throughout the day and then do the pizza thing. Um, just making sure I get enough protein and kind of hit that number as well. Um, so yeah, I mean, I don't think I ever do like a full on like, you know, classic like cheat sort of thing where it's like I've gotten everything I need to get today. Oh, now I'm going to eat half a pizza also.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. That sort of just strikes me as like maybe some lack of self control kind of thing, which I, you know, try to just make it easy for myself to not have to be tempted by that sort of stuff, right?
Yeah. So
So,
you don't have a sweet tooth?
um, I do a little bit. Honestly, usually it's like if my wife is like baking stuff, then I'll eat that if I once I start. But yeah, honestly, for like sweets, I don't ever like seek them out on my own too much, really.
Interesting.
So Yeah.
Almost everyone here has said chocolate or ice cream or something.
Yeah. I honestly, I don't like chocolate really, like at all.
What?
Yeah. I don't, yeah. White chocolate is cool, is good. Um, but yeah, like dark chocolate, milk chocolate, not so much.
Wow.
Yeah. Ice cream is good though. I like ice cream,
Yeah.
but ice cream
Cool.
also, there's some protein in that sometimes, I guess, right?
Okay, so last question. If you could choose one person to train with, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
Oh man. Wow, that's a good question. I honestly have never once thought about that. Um,
Can be anyone, doesn't have to be a musician.
yeah. Well, okay. So I would probably go with Harley Flanagan from the Cro-Mags, who is like insane. Are you familiar with him?
No,
No? Oh
now I
man.
have to Google.
Yeah, look him up. Dude's like he's like 56, classic like OG New York hardcore guy. Um and he's seriously in the best shape of his life. I don't know if he's on like TRT or something at this point, but like the dude is like ripped, super low body fat, and he's always talking about basically like when he's on tour, like stop at a gas station or whatever, he gets out and he does like he'll do
Holy
like
shit.
20 burpees or something like that.
We need a
Um,
mirror.
what's that?
We need a mirror on the show then.
Yes, yeah, talk to him.
What,
Talk
what's
to
his
him.
name?
Harley Flanagan.
Okay, noted. Cro-Mag, you said?
Cro-Mags, yeah. He
Cool.
he
Thanks for
uh
that.
he brings this, or at least on one of the tours they did, he brought this like gym that was basically all just like it was just like different bars, so you could do like dips and things like that, and he had that like set up backstage where he was like just pounding out a bunch of like different like incline pull-ups and stuff like that on this like little bar gym. It was crazy. dude's like
That's
dude's the
awesome.
real deal, and he's seeing him live, like 56, and like everybody else in the band's like 20 years younger than he is, but like that motherfucker's putting in the most energy during their set. It's crazy. It gives me hope,
It's super inspiring. At 56, you said 56, right?
56, yeah.
It's crazy. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I do think that like now we've gone like the 40s is like the new 20s now because people are so much more health conscious. Like you don't see 40-year-olds looking like old. Like when we grew up and we were like, oh, when we're 40, we're just going to be like old and gray and stuff. But that's not the case anymore.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It's weird. Like I'm gonna be 40 in a couple years here. And I'm like I'm honestly like not sure how I feel about it, because that I thought it was gonna be one way, like looking at my parents and stuff like that, where they were not as health conscious, and they had kids and stuff like that, and they were tired all the time. And I don't know. And then I'm here now and I'm like, huh, I don't have any pain or anything like that. No chronic pain, no back pain, no whatever. I don't feel like tired at the end of the day. So I'm like, hmm, maybe what I thought this was is not what it actually is. And maybe it was all just those decisions that were made,
Absolutely.
those day by day by day, like small decisions, just finally kind of like, all the 2 liters of soda just kind of caught up at the end there.
I do think that like strength training, lifting weights is like the fountain of youth. And so because you're lifting, you're in a much better position and you're consistent. So, the 40s are awesome. I can attest to that. So you don't have anything to worry about. Is there anything else you want to add? Anything health related?
Whoa, what would be my main message? Consistency. So something is better than nothing. Do something every day. I saw a bumper sticker yesterday that said, lift weights and go outside. I think that's my new motto. So do that.
Can I
Get off
steal that?
get off the internet, put the phone down, just, you know, go move your health. Move your health. That's not a real phrase. Move your body, take control of your health, and no one's gonna do it for you. So it's much better than being all fucked up and snorting meth under a bridge with homeless people at 5 o'clock in the morning. So that's if there's one thing that anyone could take away from my life, it's that. Whoa, cat's going
Love
crazy.
that. Love that. All right. So where should we check you guys out? I'm going to put your Instagram handle over there. Are you touring?
Yeah, so right now we are working on an album, so we're trying to finish that stuff up. And then, yeah, we'll be doing a bunch more touring dates and all of that kind of stuff. So I expect that to be toward kind of the latter part of this year, early next year. So, yeah, check out the band. We're called Silver Talon. We're on Spotify, Apple Music, whatever, all the above. Bandcamp, all that kind of
You
stuff.
guys are you guys are awesome. I've actually listened to your stuff. Very, very good.
Hell yeah! Thank
Your
you so much.
your guitar playing is just like phenomenal. I really enjoy your Instagram like videos as well. So keep that
Oh,
up.
thank you. Appreciate that.